And this, you guys have been talking to Aaron Barnhart. He's our product specialist. And came in from California. He was in Atlanta yesterday doing an event. And I'll let him tell you about Kronos. I will tell you if there are three. There's a 61, that's the 73, there's an 88. The 61 is due in to stores throughout the country mid to late June, and then the 73 and 88 mid to late July. If you do pre-order one, I have a form that Russell can give you for a free, it's a micro Korg.
Sampler.
Micro sampler. Yeah. So if you guys decide you want to do, that's something that's
that's a cool.
Bonus. Yeah.
Nice little
so enough of that. But Aaron will take you through everything.
So
Thanks, guys.
yeah, you guys have been hearing a little bit about it. This is the kind of the culmination of a lot of work through several generations of keyboards. I have to say, I think we finally, all my checklist things are kind of checked off. Usually there's one or two things where I'm like, we should. But there's a lot of things here that just sound great. So there's 9 engines inside Kronos. So you have all of the Oasis stuff. You don't need to install any software, any cards, any USB sticks. It's all internal. It's using a new SSD drive, super fast 31 gig SSD drive. So you know, like the new Macs, the quad-core laptops are putting those SSD drives in because they're just so fast. In doing so, we can run huge sample libraries without pulling from ROM. So it's actually all coming from the drive. For instance, all the pianos have been redesigned. We've got a brand new German Grand in here that we've been playing a little earlier. 8-way velocity switched, 5 gig piano. So. To detail and you'll notice at the end, like it's always a giveaway when the piano at the end starts to loop and you get that weird kind of tail out at the end. There are no loops in these. You can full on hold it out with the sustain pedal down for 15 seconds. You're not going to hear a loop. It's accessing all that information off the hard drive. So even at the very ends, so smooth. The oscillators for sample playback are super low aliased, so you don't get weird gunk at the end of your reverb trails and your plugins and all those things. So really well stereo like the stereo imaging is great, articulation is great. So that's a Steinway kind of D model. You can go in there, of course, and tailor that really to any specific situation. If you're doing the solo thing, you might want to add more resonance to the body of the piano, so you can actually turn that up. And the way it interacts with the RH3 action is the same that we put on all our high-end digital pianos, so it feels really nice. The 8-way switching is really nice too, because you can get all those articulations are there. You really hear how it's resonating the soundboard, which is great. So you can go in there and alter that. You can choose lid positioning. You can actually stretch the sample set so that the timbre changes slightly. But as you close the lid, of course, it's going to sound. I wish you could drag it. Maybe that'll be version 2.0. And if we maybe take some of that damper resonance out, you get a more bluesy. As you go through, we also have a C, like the Yamaha, which I like too. Again, for the rock stuff, a little nicer because it's a little brighter. It has that Yamaha sound as well as maybe like a little bit of a bald one. That and tweak it and do whatever you want with it. Then there's even some interesting use of space and some custom design things. Jordan Rudess put his stamp on one of the Yamaha Grands. I can't even play like Jordan, but it's a little thinner. breaks a little better. I guess you're getting prog rocky, which is not my thing, but you know, good bop piano too, I would imagine. So all those are in there. Lyle Mays actually did he did one where he and this is a good example of space in the piano, reverbs interacting with the damper resonance stuff. So if you listen to like the Matheny Mays stuff, he does a lot of that kind of prepared piano stuff. This is real, and the verbs in here are great. It's usually like an afterthought in a keyboard. You know, they'll put like just a whatever reverb to get you through a gig, but these are really nice verbs. And again, you can hear that it's in the detail of the ends of things. This is headphone candy right here. I got this late night, like 2 in the morning, headphones on. I'm like, oh, I sound so good right now. So there's a lot of...
Are those the same reverbs that you can use in the mixer?
Yes, you can run audio through them. So you could plug in, there's 2 microphone preamps in the back. So anything from external stuff to anything internal can be applied. Although I will say with this Lyle Mays piano, they did a little bit of programming with the resonance and the damper interaction along with the reverb, which you could do, but Jack Hotop does all our programming for the pianos, and he's just like the programming ninja. So, I mean, they have done some special work there, but it's all accessible to anybody who wants to spend the time to do it. But, and then of course you could change out, you could apply, one of the cool things is you can swap any effects architecture with any program, just like with the M3. So if you like a setup, you can copy that to something else. So that's the SGX1 engine. It's a 5 gig piano library accessed from the solid state drive, so it's super fast. It'll continue to grow as well, which is nice. When you compare that to, say, a software version, it's comparable. You know, 5 years ago that wasn't the case. You're looking at maybe, you know, 20 meg piano or whatever. But now it's in that software land with 0 latency, you know, and a very interactive, very intuitive way of dealing with it. He was destroying some roads here just a little bit ago, and you heard some of that other engine, which was, if we get into the EP1, which again is our kind of the Rhodes modeling. Herbie put his stamp on this one. I like the thunk. You know, you can hear that kind of, you can hear the hammers moving. And most of the time, anytime I play keyboard Rhodes, it's the high stuff where you're like, oh, that's fake. But it still breaks up. It has nice kind of meat to it, even in the high end. It's all, anything on the Kronos as well as the M3 was like this. Since it's that touch interface, you can interact with it very easily. So there's no lost in menu land, like what am I doing, what did I just do, you know, kind of thing. So you touch it, you can edit it. So in this case, I can grab those classic stomp box effects pedal types and just change them right on the fly. And you can see on the screen, that's a really nice chorus. And then you can switch through, and then a distortion like the Proco Rat kind of thing. So all of that stuff can be switched. Of course, there's tons of programs with EP1. George Duke put his stamp on a. It's kind of nice. Right. It really does. It's like yacht rock. And I've heard him play at NAMM, George Duke play on the real Rhodes, the one they released, and it sounds so good. It's just, to me, to my ears, it's close. It's really good. And the effects really make it there too. So that's EP1. You can go in and kind of, again, everything is user definable. If you want to throw an amp simulator on there, a cabinet, change the effects, all that stuff is doable. I should mention at this point, one of the cool things that we started doing in M3 that we've still ported over to Kronos is the drum track, which is a great way to get inspiration as you're jamming, because usually you don't want to take the 40 seconds to 20 minutes that it takes to figure out how to get rhythms going when you're inspired, you know. So you just turn on drum track. And of course you can change that. There's like 1,000 drum beats, you know, that you could dial in and do whatever. But the nice thing is no matter what sound you're on, it's already programmed in. You just hit the button. So for instance, each one is different. And what's cool is they've been played in by real drummers. It's not just, you know, penciled in. And there's fills and stuff, and a lot of them go for more than 8 to 16 bars. So it's not just like this one loop that sounds all cheesy as you're playing. It'll go for up to 16 bars. Of course, that's more housey. There'll be a fill in there too. So that's the EP1. That's the electric piano engine. Moving on from there, of course, everybody wants to hear the organs, right? Because that's the next thing in your arsenal that everybody's going to want to need. So, for instance, here we have the CX3 modeled organ, which has been around forever. Has, you know, just been a staple with players all over the world. We ported that technology and then added to it. So this is one of the organ models. With the drawbars in real time, which is huge. And they are actually drawbars as opposed to little buttons or mind control that you're using. They're actually interact like a real Hammond would. So we actually have added 5 more percussion drawbars that weren't available on a B or a C. So you can get, you know, almost FME sounding bell-like stuff, or the traditional drawbar approach. You can split it down the middle and have, you know, have your second manual do the bass stuff. You know, again, there's so much attention to detail. Check this out. I love this. We even modeled the brake. You know how if you reach under and power it off. But you always get yelled at in the studio for doing that. You're like, come on, man. So you can do really cool stuff with the Leslie. Like you can alter the mic positioning on the Leslie. You can even determine where the horns will stop and the angle of them, which you obviously couldn't do on a Leslie unless you modded it. So tons of real-time control. Having the drawbars there is great. And even just with that standard one, you know, you got. But then we also had a lot of different organs designed by different players. So for instance, we had Tom Costner came in and did some stuff. Then we had Joey DiFrancesco came in and did one. And then you got the kind of low bass like that he does where he takes some of the bass out of it. It was kind of cool. So yeah, so there's a lot of different models there. We even, forgetting his name from Niacin. Anybody remember? He was with, what was his name? Played with the guy from Mr. Big, the bass player. But anyway, he designed one. It's a lot more rock-centric, kind of like a Run Through a Marshall vibe. And of course, the Smoke on the Water vibe. Which sounds really good if you run it through like a twin or something. So that's the CX3, a ton of control there.